Hi, FAI viewers. I'm Tara McManus, and I am the first E28 holder in the known universe. Now there are a handful of us, and we are licensed to produce fire shows in New York City. This licensing program just came out, and with the help of Flambeau Fire and the FDNY, we developed a system for fire performers to get licensed to perform. It's a new requirement in New York City, and it's slowly being implemented. We have about 20 card-holding fire performers and about 4 card-holding fire producers now working in New York City, and it's already taking off. It's going to make things more available to us, big venues, public fire. The potential is infinite, really. And in a city of 8 million people, safety is the first concern. So a lot of people have been reaching out to me in New York City to find out how to become a licensed fire performer, and I wrote an article for Gig Salad that will be linked probably somewhere below this. And it explains how to do it in New York City. Now, a lot of people in counties all over the country are asking me how to do the same thing. My first recommendation is don't copy what New York City is doing because it is expensive and very time consuming. And it may not be worth it for small towns where you're spinning fire outside and or you're just trying to legalize a spin jam. There are easier ways to go about it than what I had to go through. But I'll tell you guys what I went through. Chris Flambeau asked me to come down to the main office of the FDNY and meet with the chief and the deputy chief of the explosives unit because they were going to start this licensing program, and they also wanted to shut down illegal fire performances. So I came in as an advocate for the community and explained to them that there's a community of fire spinners that aren't necessarily doing it for money, and that a lot of them have a challenge of not having a place to practice, and there would be less illegal shows if there were more legal practice spaces. And also a key point is the permit that existed before the system was a permit per event, and it was $420 per event. And it was for in front of a live audience, but there was no real permit for practicing. So the big hole here is, where are people practicing? Are they lighting up for the first time in front of an audience? No, the fire department is ignoring that these professionals need a place to practice. And then they also just didn't know that fire performance was also a personal practice, and I compare it to yoga. It's meditation, it's exercise, it changes people's lives, it's a really important art form. And I got on the good side of the fire department and told them about my space, the Floasis, which I run here in New York City with the help of Lydia Brooks and John O'Mahony. And we got in this whole process of setting up the certification process, I taught them everything I know about fire safety. A lot of that comes from FAI, Safety Project, and from NAFA, North American Fire Arts Association. Now, I'm a board member of both of these organizations, and I have my own company, Third Earth Fireproof, that sells flame retardant sleeves and duvetines and other safety equipment. So I know what I'm talking about. And once I proved that to them, they were really open to learning from me, and I learned a lot from them. So I went down to the headquarters and we watched all 3 hours of material that are available on the Flow Arts Institute website. And for $15, you can take a test. So I sat down with the chief and the deputy, some people from fire prevention, some people from the explosives unit, and some people from the office that write the test materials. And we all took the test together. And by the end of it, they decided that in addition to coming up with their own licensing, they would make it a requirement that they take a safety course, either the Flow Arts Institute online course or the course that I teach here at the Floasis. So that's prerequisite number one. And from there, in New York City, if you want to get a license, you download your study materials, which is a 46-page document that I helped write with Chris Flambeau and the FDNY. And read up, take your prerequisite course, get a letter of recommendation and a resume, and you go down to the fire department and you take an online test. This office issues licenses for all types of jobs in New York City. Like, for instance, I'm also a C15 holder, so I can treat curtains and certify that they're treated to be flame retardant. And that's a requirement for every commercial space in New York City. They also give out licenses for security guards to stand by the door and to understand egress. They give out licenses for people to refill fire extinguishers. There are blasters in New York City who blast holes into the bedrock for the subway systems. They all go through the same office. So that's how we get a license in New York. It's a lot like the DMV, and I compare it to driving a car. It's just as dangerous, fire spinning and driving a car. So you need a license to do that here. You also need insurance. Most of us go through specialty. And then you also need a permit for the venue, and the permit is site-specific. So if we're using the car analogy, the permit is like registering your car. You need to show that your car is safe, that it's not going to cause an accident and hurt other people. So the permit still costs $420, but the change that we've made here in New York is it can last for a month, it can last for a year, and as long as they're hiring insured licensed performers and complying with some standards, then they can be issued very easily every month, and there will be less and less inspectors coming to watch every fire show, which is the way it is right now. So that's how I created change in New York. And if you want to do this in your area, I suggest check out NAFA, check out Florence Institute Safety Project, take the test, and then call your fire marshal and see if you can get into his or her office and watch the videos and take the test with them. Give yourself about 8 hours to watch all the material and take all the questions, and also give some time for questions and answers with your fire department. They will be impressed on how much you know about fire performing, and you can set up some kind of acceptable standard for fire performance in your area. And if they're resistant, you can remind them of the national document that the fire departments in every county go by, which is NFPA, Article 160. And in Chapter 8, it says, the operator shall demonstrate competency by experience and training or by holding a license acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction. Now, the authority having jurisdiction is a different marshal in every county. But if you come to them with the Florence Institute Certificate of Completion and say that this is accepted by the FDNY Explosives Unit, they will probably accept that as a standard for your local county. And if the fire department does have an entire licensing system, they can adapt or accept the existing one that New York already has. And the chief of the explosives unit at the FDNY has already gotten our certificate accepted in Vegas, and can make calls to have other cities accept this certificate, but you can only take the test in New York City at the FDNY. So I hope that answers a lot of questions about how to be legal and how to be buddy-buddy with your local fire department, and I wish you all the best of luck. Burn brightly and be safe.